I never imagined that the man I built my entire world with would look me straight in the eyes and crush it with six simple words. Quit complaining. This is your place. His voice was so calm, so final, like he was stating the weather. I was standing right there in the middle of the Harmony Lounge, the restaurant we had poured 10 years of our lives into, my apron still tied around my waist, flour on my hands from the special tiramisu I'd stayed up perfecting the night before. The soft glow of the crystal chandeliers reflected in the tears I refused to let fall in front of the staff. My name is Sophia, and for the longest time, I believed I was the luckiest woman alive. Ryan and I met when I was just a young line cook with big dreams and a notebook full of family recipes. He was the ambitious manager with the charming smile. We fell in love, got married, and together, or so I thought, we turned a tiny corner bistro into the most elegant restaurant in the city. I created every signature dish. I chose the warm walnut tables, the soft linen napkins, the way the light fell across the room so every guest felt like they were home. I trained the waitstaff with patience and kindness. I remembered every regular's name and their favorite wine. But somewhere along the way, Ryan stopped seeing me as his partner. He started seeing me as staff. That night, after a brutal 12-hour shift where two servers called in sick, I gently suggested we hire one more person for the floor. I said it softly, the way a wife speaks to her husband when she's tired but still full of love. He didn't even look up from his phone. He just sighed and said those words that still echo in my chest. Quit complaining. This is your place. A few of the kitchen boys froze mid-chop. I saw the pity flash across their faces before they quickly looked away. My cheeks burned with shame. I nodded like the obedient wife I'd become and walked back to the kitchen, my heart cracking with every step. What I didn't know that night was that the real betrayal had already begun. I tried to pretend everything was fine. I smiled brighter for the guests. I worked harder than ever, hoping if I proved my worth, he would remember the woman he once adored. But the late nights grew later. The texts he hid from me became more frequent. And then there was Mia, the beautiful new floor manager he'd hired 3 months earlier. She moved through the dining room like she owned it, laughing a little too loudly at his jokes, touching his arm when no one was supposed to notice. One rainy Tuesday, I forgot my phone in the office after closing. I drove back through the empty streets, heart already heavy, and pushed open the side door. The private dining room was dimly lit, and there they were, Ryan and Mia, wrapped in each other, kissing like the world outside didn't exist. I stood there, frozen, the rain still dripping from my coat onto the marble floor. My chest felt like it had been ripped open. Everything I had given, every late night, every sacrifice, every time I put his dreams before my own, shattered in that single moment. I backed away without a sound, drove home, and cried until there were no tears left. That night, I sat on the cold bathroom floor and asked myself the question that broke me even more. Was this really my place? Had I become so small in his eyes that I deserved to be hidden in the kitchen while he paraded another woman through the life I helped create? The pain was unbearable. I felt invisible, worthless, used. But in the middle of that darkness, something quiet and fierce began to stir inside me. I started noticing things I had ignored for too long. The missing money from the accounts, the expensive gifts Mia suddenly wore that matched the business expenses Ryan claimed, the way some of the older staff members looked at me with quiet respect while they avoided him. I didn't scream, I didn't confront. Instead, I did something much more powerful. I began to remember who I was before I dimmed my light for him. I quietly met with my family lawyer, the one who had handled my late father's estate. The truth hit me like sunrise after the longest night. Because the original investment had come from my inheritance, and because of the way the partnership papers had actually been written years ago, I held 55% ownership. Ryan had always acted like the king, but the restaurant had always been mine. I started speaking softly with the staff I trusted most. I listened to their stories of long hours, unfair shifts, and the way Ryan belittled anyone who dared speak up. I gathered proof of the financial leaks, not to destroy him out of rage, but to protect what we had all built. Every night I lay beside him, pretending to sleep, while my heart quietly rebuilt itself stronger than before. The pain was still there, but now it had purpose. The night of our 10th anniversary celebration arrived. The restaurant sparkled, every table full, string lights glowing, champagne flowing. Ryan stood on the small stage in his tailored suit, Mia beside him in a dress far too elegant for a simple manager. The entire staff was gathered, smiling for the cameras, expecting him to announce the usual toast and maybe a small bonus. I walked up to the stage in the simple black dress I had chosen myself. No apron, no flower on my hands. For the first time in years, I felt completely calm. Ryan's smile faltered when he saw me take the microphone. "Before my husband continues," I said, my voice steady and warm, "I think everyone here deserves the truth." I held up a single folder. The room went silent. I have spent 10 years believing this was our place, but tonight I remember, it was always mine. The Harmony Lounge was built with my father's legacy and my dreams, and according to the original documents, I hold majority ownership. Gasps rippled through the staff. Ryan's face went pale. Mia took a small step back, her perfect smile cracking. I continued gently, without anger. "I also know about the missing funds and about the late nights that had nothing to do with the restaurant, but I'm not here to humiliate anyone. I'm here to give this place back its heart." I turned to the staff. "To every one of you who worked late, who cared for our guests, who stayed loyal even when things felt unfair, thank you. Starting tomorrow, I will be running the Harmony Lounge. Raises for everyone who stayed, better hours, and the same respect I always tried to show you." Ryan tried to speak, but his voice failed. The staff began to clap, softly at first, then louder, until the whole room filled with applause. Some of the older waiters had tears in their eyes. They knew. They had always known. Ryan and Mia left that night through the back door. No scene, no shouting, just the quiet consequence of choices he had made. In the weeks that followed, the restaurant didn't just survive, it came alive again. Guests said the food tasted warmer, the staff laughed more, and I finally stood in the dining room as the woman I was always meant to be. I didn't destroy Ryan to feel powerful. I simply stopped letting him decide my place. So, if you're listening and someone has ever made you feel small, told you to quit complaining and stay where you are, remember this: your worth was never theirs to define. Sometimes the most beautiful revenge is simply rising, quietly and completely, into the light you were always meant to shine in. I found my peace, and I hope wherever you are, you find yours too.